Hello and welcome to Middle East Matters here on France 24. I'm Tom Burgess-Watson. Coming up in the programme, the battle for Aleppo. The Syrian army appears to be regaining the upper hand for control of what was once the country's commercial hub, a city which now lies in ruins. And an ill-judged and ill-timed decision, so says the European Union, of plans by Israel to construct 1,000 new settler homes in Arab East Jerusalem. Plus, acid attacks in Isfahan. Iranian authorities launch an investigation following a series of attacks on women in the country's third largest city. We begin in Syria, where after nearly 4 years of violence, forces loyal to the president, Bashar al-Assad, appear to be regaining the upper hand for control of the northern city of Aleppo. Well, given the importance of this, the country's largest city and commercial hub, neither the rebels nor Assad's troops are willing to give up the battle. France 24's Luke Brown gives us a glimpse now of what life is like in the war-torn city from the perspective of government troops.
A short dash to Syrian government positions, guided by a loyalist soldier. In the distance, automatic gunfire rings out. This is the front line in the heart of Aleppo.
Here we're standing barely 10 meters away from the rebels.
Through the bullet holes in the wall, the damage left by months of fighting is clear. One lookout has spotted movement outside.
Don't let them fire, don't let them get away.
They tried to get past using that bus as cover.
Bashar al-Assad's forces retook this building from the rebels just a few months ago.
They'd written "Free Army" here. We added "Crushed" beneath.
Damascus loyalists have steadily regained large parts of Aleppo.
We've retaken a lot of ground recently. We're trying to encircle the rebels to prevent them from resupplying.
The government advance backed up by massive aerial bombardment. Regime helicopters drop barrels full of explosives. The barrel bombs ripping through buildings and laying waste to neighborhoods. Civilians paying a heavy toll in the indiscriminate raids. Here a young boy is pulled from the rubble, miraculously unharmed. The insurgents have retaliated with their own massively destructive weapons. These homemade artillery shells tipped with gas tanks. The resulting fireball, dubbed the cannon of hell. The battle for Aleppo has raged for over 2 years. The city is strategically vital to both sides, the daily violence leaving locals exhausted by a war seemingly without end.
I'm weary. We've aged before our time. Our faces have changed. Our young men leave their families to join the army. They die every day, leaving their wife and children behind.
Life does go on, though, in Aleppo. Children still play in the streets. Shops and schools are open. But the closer you get to the old town, the emptier grow the streets. Every building bearing the scars of a bitterly fought war. Not even the mosques have been spared. Aleppo's historic centre has become a battlefield. The souk was a UNESCO heritage site. Now what was once the world's biggest covered market is a maze of empty shops. Aleppo used to be Syria's economic capital. Now it's a field of ruins as the war rages on.
Well, just across the border, guns fell silent at the start of this week in the northern Lebanese city of Tripoli. This after the army regained control of an area which had been the scene to 3 days of deadly violence. At least 16 people were killed in this, the latest spillover from that conflict in neighbouring Syria. And the Sunni district of Tripoli, Bab al-Tabani, was being used as a stronghold by militants with suspected ties to al-Qaeda. Well, more than 160 of those militants are now in custody. Israel announced on Monday that it's pressing ahead with the construction of some 1,000 new settler homes in Arab East Jerusalem. That's a move which Palestinian officials warn could trigger an explosion of violence. All the construction will be concentrated in a part of the city which, over the course of the last 4 months, has seen clashes on an almost daily basis, with a spike since last Wednesday, ever since a Palestinian man drove into a crowd, killing a baby and a young woman.
Inside this coffin, Abdel Rahman al-Shaloudi. The body of the young Palestinian was returned to his family by the Israeli authorities on the condition that the funeral take place at night and under strict police surveillance.
Thanks to God. Thanks to God, my son is a martyr. He had a smile on his face. He's happy now, thanks to God.
He was shot dead by Israeli police last Wednesday, moments after ramming his car into a crowd at a Jerusalem tram stop. One baby, a US citizen, was killed at the scene. Another woman, an Ecuadorian tourist, died of her injuries on Sunday. Israel is treating it as a terrorist attack. The incident has ignited a new cycle of violence in the Jerusalem neighbourhood. Clashes between police and Palestinian youths are now a near-nightly occurrence in the Arab-majority district of Silwan, Abdel Rahman al-Shaloudi's hometown. Similar confrontations have spread to Hebron in the occupied West Bank. Israel's Prime Minister has vowed to maintain a tough stance.
There are extreme Islamist groups who are trying to set the capital of Israel alight. We will use all the force needed with determination and responsibility to ensure they don't succeed.
On Monday, the Israeli government announced plans for the construction of 1,000 new homes in occupied East Jerusalem, territory that Palestinians insist must be the capital of their future state. It's a move that's led one Palestinian official to warn of an explosion of violence.
Now, authorities in Iran have launched an investigation following a series of acid attacks carried out on women, which in turn have triggered angry protests. Well, these attacks have occurred in Isfahan, which is the Islamic Republic's third largest city. And according to some reports, the victims were targeted because they weren't properly veiled, although the authorities are dismissing such claims.
Police! What happened to my sister's eyes? These were the words chanted by angry protesters in Iran, following a series of acid attacks against Iranian women. 8 in total over the past few months in the central city of Isfahan, a tourist town 450 kilometres south of Tehran. For these women testifying before a camera on state television, the questions changed their lives forever.
I just want to ask him why he did this. I will never forgive him.
I was in my car. I lowered my window. I was about to drive off when suddenly something was thrown in my face. It all happened in a few seconds. I was burning to death. I just want to ask those who attacked me, why do that? I'll never forgive them.
Authorities are making every effort to punish those responsible in a bid to respond to a concerned population.
The judicial system will not spare those who spread panic and terror amongst the people under any circumstances. These actions are considered a crime by the law as well as by Sharia. They are inexcusable and reprehensible.
Since 4 of the suspects were released, many people fear securing justice is a long way off.
The evidence is weak. Unfortunately, there was no camera on the scene of the attack. But the victims were able to describe the faces of their attackers. So we are conducting the investigation.
The assaults come at a time when Iran's conservative-led parliament's trying to pass a bill that would empower vigilantes to enforce Islamic morals. It's a bill denounced by President Hassan Rouhani. During his election campaign, he promised to restrict the power of the morality police, particularly to prevent them conducting checks on women deemed not to be wearing the veil properly, an allegation dismissed by the country's officials.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of Middle East Matters. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again next week. And in the meantime, do check out our website, france24.com. You'll find all the news in English, French and Arabic, including programmes such as the one you've just seen. Thanks for watching. Do stay tuned.